So when we did get married, we had a great group of friends that we ministered together in this youth group. It was ideal, I think. It's like what everyone hopes for. Be together, and we both are believers, and everything will be fine. And it was. For a while, we continued to minister. We started having children. Kids come, but it makes it harder. The struggle becomes real. You with your ministry, with music.
You took care of our kids, and you basically stayed home.
And I know you remember this well. I would say, I don't have a life because it's diapers and bottles and dirty clothes and...
A little bit frustrated because I was not getting the support. I needed you in a lot of areas, spiritually and emotionally. In a way, I started basically doing things by myself and on my own. We basically started going our separate ways.
During that time, just the day-to-day, losing focus of what God had called us to do. And we kind of put God to the side and said, I think this is what I need to do. And you were saying, well, I think this is what I need to do. And also, we were trying to fill the void that only God can fill in our lives. I was expecting you to fill it, and you were expecting me to fill it, when He's the only one that can truly fill it. Something that we hold against each other because no one can take that place. That's His place. And instead of turning back to Him, we turned away from each other, and we started almost to resent each other. And part of the love that brought us together, we couldn't find it in the right places or show it or ask for God to come back in. It kind of separated us, your ministry and our home, tearing us apart.
Well, looking back now, I see that the lack of not having a spiritual director for both of us, I think that was part of our mistake. Me and my ministry, at a certain point that traveling to different countries, there was nobody there to tell me, you need to slow down, you need to take care of this, you need to do this, you need to do that. Basically given all this spiritual energy through my music and everything, but I was just given and not really taken. With the lack of that, I think that I started doing things not necessarily being guided by the Holy Spirit. And at that point, at work, I started spending more time with a coworker, and that went into an attraction, and then into physical attraction. So that's when even myself knowing that I was doing wrong, then after that, to try to get away from that situation, I moved to a different company. This other, the job, I met someone else. Then by that time, we had Andy, and I was having this affair. Many times, obviously, I will deny it, but that I finally confessed to you that yes, I was having this affair. I didn't know what to do. You got the advice of asking me to move out.
After 10 years of being married to someone who was my only boyfriend, my only love, I felt shattered. Shattered and like I wouldn't be able to go on. But in my heart, that love was still there. I had to struggle with that because I felt something was wrong with me for wanting to keep my family together. And so even though I asked you to leave, I couldn't imagine not having a husband and not having a parent to my children. So all the advice I got was to just leave you. I finally decided to even go through with the legal divorce.
After I left, I actually got worse of the situation, hanging with my cousins and friends that were not a good influence, just drinking and even at times doing drugs. And the other
you
thing,
felt like you had no one to go to.
Exactly, I felt like helpless, but at the same time, I remember the songs that I wrote that they were speaking to me. I was not listening to God. I was not letting nobody to guide me, or I didn't want to accept the help. Four years passed that I was finally coming to my senses, and I remember that when my sister invited me to this retreat, and I went.
Even from before the affair happened, that was the hardest thing for both of us, because we were people of God and we served and we had ministries, and we couldn't tell anybody what we were struggling with. You know, we couldn't say that we were hurting. We couldn't say that, you know, sometimes we didn't like each other.
That we needed help.
That we needed help. All our friends that had been a part of our life, I remember like speaking to one of them from Guatemala and like hoping that they would say, yeah, Javier's a bad guy and he was wrong and he, you know, you should do this and that. And those, of all the advice, that's the one that I always remember. He's, Lucy, you just need to trust in God. Don't look at Javier. Don't look at if he gives you the money, if he doesn't, if he picks up the kids or if he doesn't, if he's late on the weekend or he's not. You trust in God. And that's what I started to do. And that's when God started healing my heart. When he said, I am your everything. Remember how much I love you. Remember that I will never leave you alone. I wasn't looking for you to fill the spot that belongs to him. And he began to work in me. And at that time is when you said you started going back to church and turning away from some of the things that you were doing.
In my mind, I played with the idea of finding someone and married. I remember talking to a priest. He said, well, you can, if you want to just go with the process of annulment, then you can do that if you want. I mean, you also have the right to be with someone, be happy. But at the same time, it was like down deep in my heart, I knew that God wanted me to be here. Then I just basically went cold again, and I remember that night that I looked at myself alone in that room, and I remember the prayer that I said, Lord, if you want me to go back home, put love in my heart for Lucy. Obviously, he listened to my prayer because, I started having those feelings again, and we started talking again, and God works in mysterious ways.